and welcome to Just Cuz.
This is life now.
He's now 1 month, and tomorrow will be 1 week, right?
A month and a week?
Yeah.
Well, he's a month on the 5th.
Oh, that's how we're doing it. Okay, and what is it, the 8th? He's the 8th, right? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna, as soon as he calms down, we'll go over the birth. So, it was July 2nd.
At midnight, so really July 3rd.
Yeah, we got there at 10:30 on a Friday on July 2nd. And then she got her first dose of a induction medication at midnight.
Cytotec.
It's called Cytotec, yeah, which is 4 doses over 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So she's able to sleep through the night, obviously. So she's in the.
Just for that is the baby.
So anyway,
he eats and farts at the same time.
He was not in labor, getting induced. So obviously able to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we did an induction because.
And I was 39 weeks pregnant.
39 weeks. We did it 1 week early because she has
I
had gestational diabetes, which they assume that you're gonna have a bigger baby when you have that. And they did.
Measuring.
She was measuring at a, what was it? A 7
pounds, 11 ounces.
At 37 weeks.
36 weeks.
At 36 weeks, she was measuring at like almost 8 pounds. Something like that.
Yeah.
So they were expecting a really big baby by the time she made it to full term, so they wanted to do an induction, which they were wrong. He came out 7'4", but it's all right. It's understandable. No big deal. Taking precautions.
We think now, after the fact, that it was because I have a shorter torso, so I would carry different, which would make my belly measurement when they measure with a tape measure from the top of your belly to the bottom. Shorter torso, and he actually, well, we'll get to that.
We really are matching right now.
Yeah, we are.
It's fun.
Okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, so
Back
the
to
first
the
24
induction.
hours were easy. She was having contractions, nothing crazy. Everything she can handle. Every few minutes or something like that, So 24 hours easy, slept through the first night, woke up. So then that brings us to Saturday night, and they decide to start this medication called Cervidil, which is like a tampon. They stick it up there and allow it to dissolve. What?
Up there,
and they allow it to dissolve, which that's a lot more intense of a medication. So she was able to sleep through the night Saturday night. But definitely by the next morning, so that you only get for 12 hours. So by the time she was reached like 10, 11 hours, it was pretty unbearable.
10 hours.
Yeah, about 10 hours was when it was real hard. And I don't know, when you're in the hospital and you're on a medication or whatever, they usually monitor you, especially if you're on epidural. So they have stickies on you, and you're monitoring the contractions, and you can see it like go up and down. So at the 10-hour point of being on this medication, it was just up, and I was asking the nurse, I'm like, she seems like she's in a lot of pain, like she's having a contraction, but it's been staying in the same place this whole time. And they were like, oh, good burp.
2 big ones.
And they were like, oh, well, actually, yeah, she's not getting breaks, it's just one solid contraction. And it was like that for a long time. I can't remember how long, but it was like that for a while. So she was, in agony. And they took it out. Things calmed down, and they moved us to labor and delivery. We get to...
You're not giving me much room.
Well, it's a very small bench that we're on. We get to labor and delivery. She's finally able to get in the tub. They get one with a tub because they knew she wanted to go natural. We ideally wanted to go. Well, not we. She ideally wanted to go with no painkillers. But in hindsight, it's kind of funny because we did. You did use a bunch of
Oh,
yeah,
induction
medications.
But that
so.
was not my choice.
Yeah, yeah.
They said we recommend it because of just
So
diabetes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, hopefully we can skip that next time. But anyway, so we get the labor delivery. She's finally able to use the tub. She's doing great. She's a champ. She's breathing like super well. All the nurses are coming in. Like, if you've ever seen a video on YouTube of like natural labors at a hospital, you'll see it. Like the nurses come in and they'll like, wow. They just like look at them like, wow. How it's so strong, so like it's really funny. So that's what I got to see. She probably didn't really realize it as much as I did because she's in pain, but she was. But you don't call it pain. You don't call it pain. You call them powerful sensations. Like if it's more painful, it's more powerful. Yeah. You gotta keep your mind in the right
words
place.
Have a big impact on your mind. So the less that you. Like, the more you fill your mind with encouraging and powerful words and thoughts, the easier it is to stay focused on the end goal and not focus on in the moment of
and she was great at it.
Powerful sensations.
So meanwhile, we've been, it's been going for a while. She's been on that Servidil for a while, obviously, and she's also been on the Cytotec the day before, so we're in 30 something hours, 36 hours, something like that. Yeah. By the time the Servidil comes out,
it took it out 2 hours early to get in the tub.
And with the Servidil, they said you were at 4 centimeters, if I'm remembering correctly, 4 centimeters dilated. So then we got to just chill for a little while. They didn't add anything. The goal was, because they knew she wanted to go as natural as possible, we were hoping that her body would just kick in and take over, so no more medications needed. But we ended up having to go to another one. So later that day,
that was in the evening.
On Sunday, we do Prepidil. Also, keep in mind, Sunday was the 4th of July. We were really hoping for a 4th of July baby. That would have been cool. Mm-hmm. But it's alright. The 5th is alright. Spoiler alert, it's the 5th. So we get to, so she uses Prepidil, which is like a gel they put on the inside to help soften the cervix, I guess. Yeah, ripen it. Get things ready down there. So then she went from 4 to 6, and then they're like, alright, we didn't want to, but we're going to do Pitocin. And Pitocin just takes over. Pitocin is a artificial form of oxytocin, which is what your body uses to trigger labor. So start using the Pitocin just a little bit at a time, and they keep ramping it up. And again, it's artificial, so she's at least able to feel what's going on, and she's able to work with her body. But it typically, when you're pushing, it should be, your contraction should be maybe a minute, and you get a 2-minute break. That's about average or typical, is to have a 2-minute break and then a minute of pushing. Yeah. She was, again, not long before, she was getting no breaks, and it was tough. So obviously we didn't sleep that night, and it was very painful, very powerful. But anyway, yeah, so that takes us to 8 centimeters, and
it took a while till 10.
And you were really hurting at that point.
Oh yeah.
And we kept asking for them to check, and you got to almost 9, and you're asking for the nurse to keep checking, and around, what was it? I think around 8 or 9 centimeters. She just wanted to ask a nurse what the pain options were. Obviously, this was really drug out, not getting breaks. It wasn't the most natural thing.
I was tired.
So she was tired, understandable. So she's like, "What are the pain options?"
Not wanting epidural right away.
Yeah. So they said that the 2 options they have are an IV sedative or a or epidural, but there's no anesthesiologist around. because
The
they
epidural.
all of a sudden, like, we were at this point, she was in a lot of pain, and we called the nurse like 4 times before we finally got someone to come in, and they started talking to us, and we tried the IV sedative. They're talking to us, and we tried the IV sedative. This is around like midnight or so. Is he feeding?
He's playing games.
He's playing games.
Yeah.
So we IV sedative around like 11 o'clock, midnight, something like that. And it's kind of funny to watch because it was funny because it just knocked her out, right? She's knocked out. But whenever she'd have a really, really strong contraction, she'd wake up. So like she'd be knocked out for like 3 minutes. And then she'd wake up screaming. And she'd be like grabbing my hands and like wanting me to like push on her back and stuff. And then she'd fall back asleep. But right before she'd fall asleep, she'd say something silly. She'd be like, ah, and then it goes away, and then she'd be like, don't drive so crazy. And then again, your mom's texting us. So like just funny stuff, and she'd mumble things. It was really funny. Anyway, so we get to. So she keeps waking up, and she keeps at some point in the middle of the night, it just clicks in her. Like, I don't know what it is. Something clicks, and she goes, I have to push. I have to push. Like, she just knows, I have to push. Nurse, I have to push. The nurse comes in, checks her, and she's like, you still got a little bit to go. Like, you're like 9.5. Like, you're just a little bit. You got to get to 10. I have to push. It's like, no, don't push yet. And then after like a couple times of like keep calling her back in to check, she's like, okay, you're good now. You're at 10. So then she starts pushing. This is like 6 o'clock in the morning. And she pushed for over an hour. Pushing and pushing.
2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was 2 hours. I'm sorry. She pushed for 2 hours. Midwife comes in. Getting ready, she's just pushing, and nothing's really happening. And it turns out that he was stuck on her pelvic bone, so he would not come through. So they eventually told her, they're like, all right, Caitlin, what we need to do in order to avoid a C-section is to put you in what's called a Superman position. So they tilt the whole bed towards your head, put your arms kind of like up, and kind of
on my side.
Yeah, on her side, and kind of spread her legs a little bit.
My leg, my lower half of the body is more up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that in order to get him past the pelvic bone, which, it worked. But they told her, like, you're not going to be able to tolerate this without an epidural. So she's like, all right, let's do it. Let's get the epidural. And she got it. And it's like immediately, like, she felt great. Like, she's like, oh, wow. And they let her go to sleep. So they put her in the Superman position and let her sleep for 2 hours. Got back up, pushed for another hour, and Calvin was born at 10:11 a.m. At 10:11 a.m.
Yeah.
But there's a twist. Calvin had a cord around his neck. And he sucked in meconium, which is what they call, like, poop when they're first born. But he pooped in the amniotic fluid in the sac, in the womb. And
so NICU has to automatically be there just to check.
They were already on standby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, on his first breath, he sucked in a bunch of it, which is not what you want. The cord was no problem. Yeah, the cord, she was real quick. It was pretty loose. But that was probably another thing that was holding him from coming out naturally.
Yeah.
Was the cord around the neck.
And him being stuck behind the bone.
Yeah, and being stuck behind the pelvic bone.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much the end of labor.
That's the end of labor.
And we'll make another video about the whole NICU experience.
Well, questions you can answer. Was anybody allowed in there with y'all during COVID times?
No, it was just me and her.
Yep. Just one, me, and then one support person is what they called it, which,
Husband.
unless you don't have a spouse, then it would be whoever you choose, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other questions?
They say moms can go crazy when they're watching their daughters give birth too. So.
How would you describe the feeling you got when you first saw him?
First saw him, I was like, this thing is not mine. Like, this thing is an alien. What is this thing? That's what.
It's because he's just covered in the fluid and stuff. I think you weren't used to, like...
Well, it's because he's a new human being. Like, you got to think, like, when you first meet people, like, they're foreign to you. You don't know them, right?
Yeah.
You don't know them. Drop this thing. When you first meet someone, they're foreign to you. You don't know them. And being able to see them has a lot to do with that. Like, yeah, like, he was in her belly this whole time, in her womb. And you could, like, kind of talk to him, and he kicks and stuff, but you still don't know him yet.
Yeah.
So it's still like, this is a stranger. It's a stranger that pops out of you.
For me, I think it was just, like, relief that I did it and had, like, went through the whole 9 months of growing the human. And, then just the emotions, like, through labor, trying to stay focused on, like, getting him here. Like, I think all the I did cry. You cried too.
Yeah, we both cried.
But I think for you it was a little bit of, like,
The other circumstances.
of just waiting.
Cliffhanger.
So
Next video.
but once I finally did see him, yeah, it was just emotions of, like, wow, that's what we made. That's what I just went through everything to bring into this world, and now we get to raise him and love him, and yeah, it's crazy. A different love.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to him. He's a little boring. Doesn't really do anything.
He's a mama's boy, so
Yeah, he don't like me too much.
not right now.
What you want? You want to fight? But anything else? Any other questions?
What do you think? He looks more like right
It
now?
looks like Ryan.
Yeah, my brother
When
Ryan.
he first came out,
Or
that
me,
one
but
picture, he
we
looked
should
like Eric's
insert
mom.
baby pictures.
Oh, he
But we
looked
don't
like my
have your
mom.
baby pictures.
We can
I think I can.
He looks
think
like
of
Calvin.
what
That's
you-
all I care about. None of
That's
that
what he
matters to
first
me.
said too. Yeah. Until we pulled out baby pictures, he does have more of my side of the family's genes, at least as a baby. We'll
Mhm.
see. He might grow into your features.
Yep.
Alright.
You want to say goodbye now that you're a little bit happier? And you can see maybe a smile if we talk to you. Or he's gonna puke already.
Bleh.
Calvin.
Right now he's got
Alright,
some
guys.
baby acne, but
Yeah,
A
he
little
does.
bit.
Hi.
Oh, oh.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Calvin.
If you want to see that smile, tune in next time to watch part 2.
Part 2 of our whole hospital experience.
Yeah, we were there for a little while. But he's good. Or is he? Find out next time in part 2.
He's perfectly fine. You can
No,
see
we
him
don't know
here.
that yet. They have to tune
Just
in next
see
time to
him.
find out. So, thanks for watching. This is Just Cuz. Leave a comment.
Caitlin, Eric, and Calvin.
Caitlin, Eric, Calvin. Leave a comment and like and
And any questions?
finger thing.
Any finger things? This.
one day I'll get it.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
I'm putting the mic up too so he can. Any more, son?
He's gonna be so embarrassed when he's older. My fart made it on camera.